control systems before missiles are launched, as well as drones and fighter jets to shoot them down moments after liftoff. The missile defense network on the West Coast would be expanded for use if everything else fails. In interviews, defense officials, along with top scientists and senior members of Congress, described the accelerated effort as a response to the unexpected progress that North Korea has made in developing intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of delivering a nuclear bomb to the continental United States. "It is an all-out effort," said Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island, the top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, who returned from a lengthy visit to South Korea last month, convinced that the United States needed to do far more to counter North Korea. "There is a fast emerging threat, a diminishing window, and a recognition that we can't be reliant on one solution." For years, that single solution has been the missile batteries in Alaska and California that would target any long-range warheads fired toward the American mainland, trying to shoot them down as they re-enter the atmosphere. Such an approach, known as hitting a bullet with a bullet, remains of dubious effectiveness, even after more than $100 billion has been spent on the effort. Anti-missile batteries on ships off the Korean coast and in South Korea protect against medium-range missiles, but not those aimed at American cities. So the administration plans to pour hundreds of millions of dollars into the two other approaches, both of which are still in the experimental stage. The first involves stepped-up cyber attacks and other sabotage that would interfere with missile launches before they occur, what the Pentagon calls left of launch. The second is a new approach to blowing up the missiles in the boost phase, when they are slow-moving, highly visible targets. President Trump has praised the existing missile defense system, insisting last month that it can knock out a missile in the air 97% of the time, the claim that arms control experts call patently false. In trial runs, conducted under ideal conditions, the interceptors in Alaska and California have failed half of the time. And the Pentagon has warned administration officials that the North will soon have enough long-range missiles to launch volleys of them, including decoys, making the problem far more complex. That helps explain the rush for new protections. "They're looking at everything," said Thomas Carrico, a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, who recently led two anti-missile studies and closely monitors the administration's planning. "What you're seeing is a lot more options on the table." The $4 billion emergency budget sought by the White House is on top of the $8 billion that the Missile Defense Agency has already been granted for this fiscal year, as well as what other military services and agencies are putting into missile defense. Another $440 million was moved from existing programs to anti-missile work 2 months ago, as the North Korea threat became more serious. In the emergency request to Congress, and in documents made public by its committees, the precise use of the funds is cloaked in deliberately vague language. Hundreds of millions of dollars, for example, are allotted for what the documents call disruption/defeat efforts. Several officials confirm that the disruption efforts include another, more sophisticated attempt at the kind of cyber and electronic strikes that President Barack Obama ordered in 2014 when he intensified his efforts to cripple North Korea's missile testing. The failure rate for the Musudan missile soared to 88%, but it was never clear how much of that was due to the cyber attacks and how much to sabotage of the North's supply chain and its own manufacturing errors. Then Kim Jong-un, the country's president, ordered a change in design, and the test launches have been far more successful. The experience has raised difficult questions about the effectiveness of cyber weapons, despite billions of dollars in investment. "We can dream of a lot of targets to hack," said Michael Solmeyer, director of the Cybersecurity Project at Harvard and formerly the director for cyber policy planning and operations in the Office of the Defense Secretary. "But it can be hard to achieve the effects we want, when we want them." Congressional documents also talk of making additional investments in boost phase missile defense. The goal of that approach is